Hi friends, welcome to Crack UPSC CSE with India's largest online learning platform, Unacademy. This is Kiran Anishetty, Faculty for Political Science, Public Administration, Polity, Issues in Governance, and Ethics. My educational background, I have done my MBA, MA in Public Administration and Political Science. I have a UGC NET in both Political Science and Public Administration. 7 times I wrote civils prelims with public administration optional. 4 times I attempted civil service mains, each time scoring more than 55% in public administration optional. My teaching experience is more than 10 years. I have taught in Telangana Government ST IAS Study Circle, Telangana Government Minority IAS Study Circle, Narayana IAS Academy, Super 60 IAS Academy Hyderabad. If you have any doubts, queries, any guidance from me, please feel free to contact me on this number 9652583905. 9652583905. Friends, in this session we are going to discuss fundamental rights part 3. In our earlier sessions we discussed the fundamental rights till article 20. In this session we will discuss the fundamental rights from article 21 onwards. What you will get from Unacademy, you will get daily live classes, live tests, quizzes, structured courses, unlimited access to the videos on Unacademy, the videos on UPSC civils and mains. You can prepare with the top educators of Unacademy such as Mrunal Patel, Roman Saini, Prakash Kumar. You will be getting videos on UPSC civils and mains with regard to subjects such as polity, economy, history, environment, ethics, etc. You can subscribe for 12 months, that will be 44,000. You can use my promo code, that is capital KIRAN. You will get 10% discount. If you subscribe 24 months, it will be all the more good for you, because for 24 months it is just 64,000. In this also, if you use my promo code, that is capital KIRAN, you will get 10% discount. Unacademy has recently come up with a novel subscription, that is iconic subscription. One of the important features of this iconic subscription is that you will be getting personal guidance from the faculty, personal mentorship, personal feedback, daily questions on mains, live classes, test series, unlimited practice, etc. If you subscribe this subscription, my guidance will be available for you. I will be guiding you on subjects polity, issues in governance, political science, public administration, and ethics. Apart from my personal guidance, Unacademy will appoint a team of experts to assist you. So please subscribe this subscription. This subscription, mechanic subscription, for 1 year it will be 57,600. For 2 years it is 89,100 after the discount. In this also you will be getting discount if you use my promo code, that is capital KIRAN. Article 21 right to life and liberty. Very, very important one. Even during national emergency, the fundamental rights that have been enshrined under Article 20 and 21, the fundamental rights that have been enshrined under Article 20 and 21 will not be suspended even during national emergency. Will not be suspended even during national emergency. No person will be deprived of life and personal liberty except as procedure established by law. And this right is available for both citizens as well as for aliens, that is, for foreigners. In olden times, even during medieval time, the kings, the feudal lords, the aristocracy used to punish people brutally at their whims and fancies. Beheading, publicly beheading, public hanging, then confinement, forceful confinement, kidnapping. Such things used to happen during monarchic rule and during feudal rule. But with the commencement of Constitution has ensured number of fundamental rights to the people in India, and this Article 21, it protects life and liberty of people, both citizens as well as aliens, the foreigners. No person will be deprived of life and liberty except as procedure established by law. Only according to the procedure established by law, a particular person will be punished. For instance, Ajmal Kasab was caught red-handed after killing hundreds of innocent people. But then and there he was not shot dead. He was arrested. He was produced before the court. The court proceedings happened and he went to, what do you say, special court, then high court, then Supreme Court. After Supreme Court verdict, he filed mercy petition. Like that, he was punished according to the procedure mentioned in the law. That is the meaning of this article. No person will be deprived of life, personal liberty, except as per procedure established by law. Unlike in earlier instances, for instance, Firoz Shah Tughlaq burnt a Brahmin alive just for saying the essence of Hindu religion and Islam religion is same. Such kind of arbitrary punishments will not be there because this right ensures right to life and liberty. No individual will be punished except as per the procedure established by law. 86th Amendment Act introduced education, right to education under Article 21A. Under Article 21A, 86th Amendment Act introduced right to education for the children belonging to 6 years to 14 years. Quality education for the children belonging to 6 years to 14. Right to education. 86th Amendment Act. And this right has been enshrined under Article 21A. Under Article 21A. In this regard, we should discuss two cases in which Supreme Court gave epoch-making orders. First, in A.K. Gopalan case, Supreme Court ordered that judiciary cannot examine reasonableness of law. What does it mean? If you watched my previous videos on the salient features of Indian Constitution, the salient features of US Constitution, comparison of Indian Constitution and US Constitution. You might have heard, you might have observed many times I discussed concept of judicial review and on which principles judicial review functions. Concept of judicial review originated in US in an epoch-making case in 1803, Madison versus Marbury. An epoch-making case, Madison versus Marbury. The Supreme Court of US declared that the concept of judicial review is ingrained in Article 6, Provision 2 of US Constitution. It says this Constitution shall be fundamental law of the land. Constitution shall be fundamental law of the land. Justice John Marshall declared that this concept has been ingrained in Article 6, Provision 2 of US Constitution. This is how the judicial review originated in US. What do you mean to say judicial review? Judicial review means the authority of the judiciary to examine the laws made by the legislature, whether they are according to the provisions of the Constitution or not. Judicial review means judiciary has the authority to examine the laws made by the legislature. It is the greatness of US Constitution makers that they have come up with this weakened political idea, judicial review. In England, in most of Western European democracies, the judicial review is in absence. There is no judicial review. In most of European democratic countries such as England, France, Switzerland. In Switzerland, it is wonder that though it is federal form of government, there is no judicial review. Judicial review is considered to be one of the essential features of federation. But in Switzerland, they ensured federation without judicial review. That is paradoxical. Because there should be some authority to check the center encroaching upon the state's subjects and vice versa. In Switzerland, there is no such authority. In US, for the first time, they came up with this novel political idea, judicial review, because US political thinkers, they convinced themselves that the way any monarch or a feudal lord or aristocracy can perpetrate inhuman atrocities on people, the way any monarch or feudal lord can be despotic, self-aggrandizing. In the same way, democratically elected legislature can also be despotic and self-aggrandizing. Hence, the people should have protection not only from the tyranny of the executive, but also from the tyranny of the legislature. This is the political philosophy behind judicial review. This is the political philosophy behind fundamental rights. This judicial review functions on either of these two principles: procedure established by law, process of law. In India, the judicial review functions on the basis of procedure established by law. In US, The judicial review functions on the basis of due process of law. When the judicial review functions on the basis of due process of law, it can check not only the procedure but also the purpose behind the law. When judicial review functions on the basis of process of law, the judiciary can check not only the procedure that has been mentioned in the constitution is followed by the legislature or not, but also purpose behind that. It can examine the legislative wisdom behind the legislation. Legislative wisdom behind the legislation means whether the law that has been legislated by legislature, is it good for the society or not? Is it draconian? Is it reasonable? Is it suitable to the nation or not? That can also be checked by the judiciary when judicial review system functions on due process of law. That means any law made by the legislature can be struck down by the judiciary, saying that it is not in the welfare of the society. It is not in the welfare of the nation. That will happen when judicial review functions on due process of law. The judicial review in US functions on the basis of due process of law. That's why the judiciary is more powerful compared to the executive and legislative organs of the state. That's why in US they say that US Constitution is what the Supreme Court of US makes out of it. US Constitution is what the Supreme Court of US makes. On the other hand, in England, the Parliament is all sovereign. The law made by Parliament cannot be questioned by anyone. That's why the famous British political thinker J.S. Mill says that the British Parliament can make anything except making a man woman, woman a man. But we adopted a system, constitutional system, which is in between these two extremes. Which is in between these two extremes. Why? It is because we have judicial review in our constitutional system. That means the Indian Parliament is not as sovereign as that of UK, England, because we have judicial review. At the same time, Indian Supreme Court is not as supreme as that of US, because our judicial review system functions on procedure established by law, under which the judiciary can examine the law made by the legislature and been made according to the procedure that has been mentioned in the constitution or not. Judicial review functions on the basis of procedure established by law. Hence, the judiciary in India can only examine whether the law made by the legislature has been made according to the procedure that has been mentioned in the constitution or not. It cannot question the purpose behind the law. It cannot question the legislative wisdom behind the law. It cannot question the suitability of the law, the reasonableness of the law. That's what happened. I mentioned this particular example in my previous videos also. When Telangana state was bifurcated, the former chief minister of erstwhile United Andhra Pradesh, N. Kiran Kumar Reddy, he challenged the Telangana bifurcation law in Supreme Court. The Supreme Court checked only the procedure that has been mentioned in Article 3 of the Constitution for bifurcation of any state has been followed by the parliament or not. That's it. The procedure has been followed by the parliament. Hence, Supreme Court has upheld the Telangana Bifurcation Act. But the Supreme Court never asked what are the benefits if Telangana is bifurcated from Andhra? What are the demerits or what are the problems that are going to be heaped upon Andhra and Rayalaseema people if Hyderabad is separated from Andhra Pradesh? Why Telangana bifurcation bill was passed just before the general elections of 2014? These questions have not been posed by Supreme Court of India because our judicial review functions on the basis of procedure established by law, where the judiciary can check whether the procedure that has been mentioned in the constitution has been followed by the legislature or not. That's it. It cannot question the reasonableness of the law. This is what ruled by Supreme Court in A.K. Gopalan case. The judiciary under judicial review cannot examine the reasonableness of law if the law seeks to deprive the personal liberty and life of a person. Whether the law is reasonable or not cannot be questioned by the judiciary because our judicial review functions on the basis of procedure established by law. That means tomorrow if parliament legislates a law, if anybody commits theft, pickpocketing, his hands will be cut off. That law cannot be questioned in under judicial review because since our judicial review functions on the basis of procedure established by law, the judiciary cannot question the reasonableness of the law, the draconianness of the law, the suitability of the law. That's what ruled by Supreme Court in A.K. Gopalan case. Then Menaka versus Union of India case, Supreme Court declared that the law made by legislature which seeks to deprive a person of his life must not be arbitrary. That means in Menaka Gandhi case, Supreme Court declared that any law made by legislature which seeks to impose any restriction on liberty of an individual should not be arbitrary. It should be reasonable. If you jump any traffic signal, tomorrow parliament legislates a law, 1 year of rigorous imprisonment will be imposed, which is not reasonable. There should be correlation between the offense and the punishment. The punishment that is going to be meted out on the individual who is convicted for a particular offense should commensurate with the offense. So here in our example, if an individual jumped a signal, but he is awarded with 1 year of rigorous imprisonment, which is unreasonable. Which is unreasonable. Recently, I think recently means 3-4 years ago, when present Nitish Kumar government came to power in 2015, it banned consumption and sale of liquor in Bihar. That is good. But the way the law was going to be enforced was arbitrary. If any family member is to be found with liquor bottle, the entire family members will be arrested. His mother, his sister, sister-in-law, everyone. If any panchayat member is found with liquor bottle, the entire panchayat will be arrested. Such law was, questioned in front of Patna High Court, and Patna High Court squashed that law. Of course, later on Supreme Court upheld the law. I think those provisions were removed. such draconian provisions were removed from the prohibition law of Bihar. Yes. Any law made by any legislature, whether it is parliament or state legislature, seeks to impose any restriction on personal liberty and life of individual, that should be reasonable. In a nutshell, you remember that after Menaka case, the judicial review, as far as the rights that have been enshrined under Article 21, the judicial review functions on the basis of due process of law. Only as far as the fundamental rights that have been enshrined under Article 21, the judicial review functions on the basis of due process of due process of law, not on procedure established by law. In fact, functions on due process of law. Because if it is not to function on due process of law, as far as the fundamental rights that have been mentioned under Article 21, if tomorrow Parliament or any state legislature legislates a law that whoever does not wear helmet, his head will be chopped off, then we cannot question that law. In order to prevent such kind of draconian laws, in Menaka Gandhi case, Supreme Court declared, as far as the fundamental rights that have been enshrined in Article 21, the judicial review functions on the basis of due process of law. You ingrain this fact in your mind. You just embed this fact in your mind. Supreme Court declared that following rights are ingrained in Article 21. Supreme Court declared that following rights are ingrained in Article 21. Right against bonded labor. Once again, I repeating in my previous session, that is on fundamental rights part 2, I emphasized that these rights that are corollary to both Article 19 and Article 21 are very, very important for exam. Many times they have been asked in the exam, especially for prelims, they are very, very important. So following rights, Supreme Court declared that following rights are corollary to the rights in Article 21. Right against bonded labor, right against bonded labor, right to livelihood, right against bonded labor, right to livelihood, right to decent environment, right to speedy trial and fair trial, right against bonded labor, right to livelihood, right to decent environment, right to speedy and fair trial, right to speedy and fair trial, right to speedy and fair trial, right to privacy, right to go abroad, right against handcuffing. Most of the times, the accused persons not be handcuffed. In quintessential Bollywood pictures, as soon as the individual is arrested, he is handcuffed. But Supreme Court, according to Supreme Court verdict, the accused should not be handcuffed unless and until he is a dreaded criminal. Unless and until he is a dreaded criminal. Unless and until he is very adept in martial arts. If he is adept at martial arts, and if there are any chances of his escape, then only he should be handcuffed. Right against handcuffing, right against solitary confinement, right against solitary confinement, then right against custodial torture and death. right against custodial torture. Custodial torture and custodial death are plots on civilized society. That's what Supreme Court declared. Now we are going to discuss those things after this one. Against custodial torture, right to legal aid, right to medical aid, right to legal aid, right to medical aid, right to legal aid, right to medical aid. Supreme Court declared following instances are illegal. What are they? Employing of ill-equipped, ill-trained tribal youth in anti-Naxal operations. This verdict was given in the light of Salvajudam. An outfit was created by a person called Mahendra Karma. He was a minister in Congress government, erstwhile Congress government in Chhattisgarh. He created this Salvajudam. The members of Salvajudam were given weapons to fight against the Maoists in Chhattisgarh. But most unfortunate thing is that most of these youth are ill trained. They are not well trained and they are not well equipped. And they used to kill the tribals in the name of what you say, eliminating the Naxals. Most unfortunate thing happened in Chhattisgarh because of this. A brother, a tribal brother, was pitted against his own tribal brother. PIL was filed in Supreme Court, and Supreme Court banned the outfit of this Salvajudam. Mahendra Karma, who created this outfit, was killed in Naxal attack in 2014. I think before Parliament elections of 2014. Congress party was organizing massive rally in Chhattisgarh. In that attack, former cabinet minister VC Shukla was also killed. So anyhow, it was created by government in Chhattisgarh, Salvajudam, and Supreme Court declared that such outfit is illegal and it banned that outfit. Then Supreme Court also declared top panchayats, the caste panchayats in especially in Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh are illegal. In these Kap panchayats, the heads of upper caste they dictate terms, and because of these Kap panchayats, many people, many innocent people who got what you say intercaste marriage were killed mercilessly by parents. One case I still remember. One couple was living in Delhi. They were from Haryana. I think 10, 15 years elapsed ever since their marriage. They eloped and they made a marriage. And parents, after 10 or 15 years or so, they cajoled, they acted in innocent manner. And they told this couple that they forgot everything and they can visit their place. As soon as they entered to their village, the couple were put to death by village elders. Such kind of most unfortunate things happened in especially Haryana and in Western Uttar Pradesh because of these Kap panchayats. And Supreme Court declared such Kap panchayats are illegal. Such Kap panchayats are illegal. And Supreme Court declared custodial death and torture are blot on civilized society. even present day informed society, Indus, what do you say, under present day scenario of information technology revolution, present day, what do you say, this IT technology revolution, telecommunication technology revolution. Despite of that, even today, most unfortunate instances of custodial deaths we find in India. Recently, you know how son and father were put to death in custody, in police custody. The investigation is going on. The station house officer, two sub inspectors, and some constables were arrested, and the case was handed over to CBI. Most unfortunate thing, the custodial deaths and torture are blot on civilized society. This is what ruled by Supreme Court. Actually, for custodial death, the maximum punishment up to death sentence can be given for convicted person. Let's hope that justice will be given to the family members of the son and father in Tamil Nadu. Most unfortunate incident. Top Panchayat was asked in civils mains 3 4 years ago, and there are chances, especially in the light of recent custodial death in Tamil Nadu, this can be asked in coming mains. Then comes Article 22, protection against arrest and detention. Protection against arrest and detention. This article consists of two parts. First part deals with the protection given for a person who is arrested under ordinary law. First part deals with protections that are available to a person who is arrested under ordinary law. And second part deals with the person who is arrested under preventive detention. Here we should draw distinction between punitive detention on one hand, preventive detention on the other. Punitive detention is that detention which is meted out after the commencement of the offense. When the offense has already occurred, the suspected person will be arrested. That is punitive detention. Preventive detention means in the anticipation that the individual is going to commit an offense, in the anticipation, that particular individual will be arrested. In the anticipation of that, that particular person will be arrested. That is preventive detention. First, we will discuss the protection available for a person who is arrested under ordinary law. The arrested person should be allowed to consult his lawyer. The arrested person should be allowed to consult his lawyer. That is first protection. Second, the arrested person should be produced in front of the magistrate within 24 hours from the time of the detention. The arrested person should be produced in front of the magistrate within 24 hours from the time of his arrest. Then third, he should be informed of the grounds on which he is going to be arrested. He should be informed of the grounds on which he is going to be arrested. For what reasons he is going to be arrested, that should be informed to him. These three protections are available for the person who is going to be arrested under ordinary law. And protection available for the individuals who are arrested under preventive detention. It is really, what is a paradoxical thing in democratic countries like in India. We have this provision of preventive detention. In Western democracies such as in US and England, the provision of preventive detention is not available. In Western democracies such as England and US, the provision of preventive detention is not available. The history of preventive detention in India goes back to colonial period. For the first time, the first preventive detention law was legislated in 1818, Bengal Regulation Act. Bengal Regulation Act. So here, the person is going to be arrested in the anticipation that he is going to commit an offense. The parliament can legislate preventive detention laws in with regard to the defense of the nation, with regard to the safety of the country of the nation, the safety of the country, and with regard to foreign affairs, with regard to foreign affairs, with regard to foreign affairs, with regard to defense, and with regard to safety of the nation, Parliament can legislate preventive detention laws. Earlier governments, like Vajpayee government, legislated quota. Maharashtra MOCA, it has MOCA, Maharashtra Organized Crime Act. Like that, the Parliament can legislate preventive detention laws for these three: defense, foreign affairs, safety of the country. The state legislature can legislate preventive detention law for this to safeguard public order to maintain supply of essential commodities, to maintain public order and to maintain supply of essential commodities. The state legislature concerned can legislate preventive detention laws. So remember, both the parliament and state legislature are equipped with this, what do you say, the authority to legislate preventive detention laws. Preventive detention laws. Both of them have this preventive authority of legislating preventive detention laws. Remember, in the exam, it is very important. Both parliament and state legislature have. State legislature with regard to maintenance of public order and maintenance of public order and maintenance of supply of essential commodities. It can legislate. And with regard to parliament, it can legislate on subjects defense, foreign affairs, and safety of the country. These three safeguards are available for the person who is arrested under preventive detention laws. First, the detention should not exceed 3 months. The detention should not exceed 3 months without the permission of advisory board. The detention should not exceed 3 months without the permission of advisory board. Without the permission of advisory board. Without the permission of advisory board. What is this advisory board? Advisory board consists of judges of High Court of the state concerned They will supervise over the preventive detention arrest. They will supervise over the preventive detention arrest. And it should not exceed 3 months. The preventive detention should not exceed 3 months without the permission of advisory board. And Parliament has the authority to extend this 3 months, this cap on what is a detention beyond 3 months. Second, the arrested person should be informed of the grounds on which he is going to be arrested. He should be informed for what reasons he is going to be arrested. For what reasons he is going to be arrested. Then the third one, the arrested person should be allowed to make representation at the earliest. That means he should be allowed to plead his case at the earliest. So these are the protections that are available for the individual who is arrested under preventive detention. Once again, I repeat, friends, as far as Article 22 is concerned, please, you should be able to distinguish between punitive detention and preventive detention. The protections that are available for the individual who is arrested under punitive detention and the protections that are available for the person who is arrested under preventive detention, you keep in your mind. Preventive detention laws can be made by Parliament with regard to defense, foreign affairs and security of state. State Legislative Assembly can legislate on public order and maintenance of essential supplies. State Legislative Assembly can legislate on public order, maintenance of essential supplies. Then Article 23, prohibition of trafficking in human beings. Prohibition of trafficking in human beings. This right is available both for citizens as well as aliens. It is available against the state as well as private individuals. It is available against the state as well as the private individuals. It bans selling of men, women, and children as commodity. Most unfortunate thing, earlier people used to sell women, children as commodity. Even in Western countries, it used to happen. In fact, the wealth in Western countries is drenched with blood and sweat of the Negroes in Africa. Negroes in Africa used to be tied as animals. They used to be deported from Africa to US. In US, they used to be used as manual slaves in cultivation, in industries. This is how they amassed the wealth. On this particular phenomenon, an English movie was shooted and it got Oscar award. This article bans selling of men, women, and children as commodity. Selling of men, women, and children as commodity. Unfortunate thing, even now, women and children are sold. Most unfortunate thing. Recently in Vizag, one scam was unearthed. One gynecologist is selling small children, infants. It bans selling of men, women, and children as commodity. It bans forced labor and bonded labor. This fundamental right also bans forced labor and bonded labor, including prostitution. In olden days, during feudal time, people used to be forced to go for bonded labor, forced labor. That means if they take any loan from the feudal land, their generation, their next generation, the generation after that, generations together used to work as slaves under that particular feudal land that was bonded labor. This diabolic practice used to be in Indian society, especially in those areas which were infected with feudal rule in Bengal, in Andhra, especially in Telangana, like that. This unfortunate thing used to happen. Britishers, when farmers supported the Sipais in 1857 revolt, the farmers supported the Sipais thick and through. They supported the Sipais thick and through. Right from the beginning to the end, they supported. They gave their best. Farmers gave their best. On the other hand, native Rajas and rulers, Jamindars, who in the initial stage they supported the revolution, but later on they joined hands with the Britishers. That's why Canning, the first viceroy, gave the statement in the light of 1857 revolt. The native Rajas and rulers acted as backwaters against the great storm which could have swept, which could have swept us in a great wave, which could have swept us in a great wave. Whereas the farmers supported the Sipais through thick and thin. That's why Britishers wanted to take avenge against the farming community. In order to break the back of farmers, they came up with this diabolical institution called Zamindari system, the feudal system. This feudal system emaciated the farming community. From that time to till today, farmers are in pathetic condition because of policies that have been followed by colonial masters after 1857 revolt. That's why, friends, the changes in British policy after 1857 revolt are very, 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 very important for examination purpose. Very important. Drastic changes in British policies and programs after 1857 revolt. So during Jamindari system, the labor, forced labor used to be there. Bonded labor used to be there. This kind of bonded labor, forced labor has been banned by Article 23, including prostitution, forced prostitution. This right is available for both citizens as well as aliens. This right is available both for citizens as well as aliens. Comes Article 24. It prohibits employment of children below 14 years in factories and other hazardous activities such as construction industry, kill, etc. In my Hyderabad, children are generally employed in making of bangles, the glass industry, the bangle industry in old city is notorious for that. Most unfortunate thing, police many times it raided and it what to say at the offenders. The children generally they were employed in this bangle industry in Hyderabad. So such kind of employment of children who are below 14 years in factories and other hazardous activities is strictly prohibited and banned by Article 24. This right is available to citizens as well as aliens. This right is also available for citizens as well as aliens. This right is also available to citizens as well as aliens. Thank you, friends. We will discuss the rest of fundamental rights in our next session, that is part 4 of fundamental rights. Please use my promo code, that is capital KIRAN, and get 10% discount. If you have any queries, doubts, any guidance from me, please post your doubts and questions to this Telegram channel polity dot with polity underscore with underscore Kiran Anishetty. Polity underscore with underscore Kiran Anishetty. Thank you, friends. I hope the session is very informative and useful for your exam. Thank you. See you in the next session with more interesting and important topic. Thank you. Thanks a lot.